Hey there folks, it's Blue here at Blue Bears Games, and for this week's videos, I will be unboxing and then upgrading the Masters of Evil Universes Beyond Doctor Who Commander Precon. Before I get to today's video, I want to first take a moment to let you know that if you'd like to help support my channel, you can do so in the following ways. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, share any of my content on your socials so other people can discover it, and or watch some of my many other videos yourself. In addition to that, if you're interested in ways that you can help support my channel monetarily, please read the description of this video, and there you will find a myriad of options for what you can do to help me keep this channel going. Anything that you can do to help is greatly appreciated, and I thank you for it. Now with that out of the way, let's begin. Today's video will be the unboxing of the Precon, where I'll show you everything that comes in the box, including the deck card by card. And then tomorrow I will release the upgrade guide, where I'll show you some options on what I believe you should take out and add back in to help make the deck play a little better. I saved this deck for last because my favorite antagonists on the show are the Daleks, and the card on the front of the box, Davros, Dalek Creator, hints to me that the deck will deal with them heavily. Here's what Davros does so you can see what I'm talking about. Davros is 1 red, 1 black, 1 blue, and 1 generic mana for a 3/4 legendary artifact alien scientist creature with menace and an ability that says at the beginning of your end step, create a 3/3 black Dalek artifact creature token with menace if an opponent lost 3 or more life this turn. Then, each opponent who lost 3 or more life this turn faces a villainous choice. Either you draw a card, or that player discards a card. Now, if you've ever watched the show, you know that the Doctor is kind of like Spider-Man in that there's only one of him, but he has dozens and dozens of different enemies, so I assume that there are going to be way more than just the Daleks in this deck. Going by the box, I see at least Cybermen and Missy, who has many forms just like the Doctor does, so how many different antagonists and which forms are in here are unknown to me at this time. Also unknown is what each of these types of creatures will inherently do, so rather than speculate, let's just rip this bad boy open and I'll show you what's in the box. So here's what the outside of the box looks like. It has Davros, Dalek Creator on the front, a couple of other of the villains on the side there. Here are the colors, and then on the back we have a couple of cards that it shows us. It looks like this won't have a companion because, well, there's no Doctor in it. This is all the villains. So let's open her up. Alright, throw that aside. Here is the insert. It's got everything on the back of it. So let's get all that out first, including apparently the planar die, which I forgot a couple of times. So it has a couple of the TARDIS tokens, some Planeswalker symbols on the front and, on the side and on the top. So we'll open them up later. The pouch has the sample pack and, of course, the planes. We've got the insert. Let's open the box and see if this one's destroyed just like all the others. It is not. This one is actually fine. So let me get that together and I'll show you. There are the 3 colors. And then we'll throw that aside. Insert. A little bit about the deck. Some extra commander rules. And then it shows Missy and Davros on the back. We've got the life wheel. So it has Missy on there. Here's the planar die that I don't really care about much, but it's black and sparkly. Got the planes. I'll go over them very quickly as far as just telling you the names of them. And again, like every other time, if you want to read them, there's a couple ways you can do it. You can pause the video, or if you really, really care, you can go and search them out online. So we start with the City of the Daleks, the Moon Base, Dalek Intensive Care, Bowie Base 1, the Doctor's Tomb, Ablin Moratorium, Unleash the Flux, the Matrix of Time, Hotel of Fears, Mondasian Colony Ship, and that's all of them. Like I said, if you want to look at them closer, I'm not really a big fan of the plane chase mechanic myself. Some people are, and that's okay. I'm just not. Alright, Collector's Booster Sample Pack. Last one for this set, so hopefully it's a doozy. I doubt it, because none of them have been really. And that's not including just Doctor Who, that's all the sets. Alright, let's zoom so we can fully see everything. Alright, we got Orion Sinclair non-foil but extended art. And we got a Lava Claw Reaches, again, extended art but not foil. So nothing really spectacular in this one. I'll have the prices, but I doubt it's worth anything. But we're not here for that. We're here for the deck. It looks like it has a pull cord, but it doesn't have the little rip in it that I can grab the pull cord, so... Alright, so it starts off with Davros, Dalek Creator, which I did show you earlier. This is the thick version of it, and it has a different foiling technique for it. And of course, this is the one that's legal to play. The secondary commander that they suggest is Missy, which I did get in a Collector's Booster sample pack. I think the first one, but I'll read it off to you. Missy is 1 red, 1 black, 1 blue, and 3 generic for a 4/5 legendary Time Lord Rogue. It has, whenever another non-artifact creature dies, return it to the battlefield face down, tapped, under your control. It's now a 2/2 Cyberman artifact creature. And then the second part of the ability says at the beginning of your end step, each opponent faces a villainous choice. Each artifact creature you control deals 1 damage to that opponent, or you draw a card and chaos ensues. So it has a little bit of ties to the plane chase mechanic, but it's not entirely, so it's still usable. So the rest of the deck, we start off with Auton Soldier, 6 to cast 0/0 Alien Soldier. Says you may have Auton Soldier enter the battlefield as a copy of any creature on the battlefield, except it isn't legendary, is an artifact in addition to its other types, and has Myriad. The Flood of Mars. It is a 4 to cast 3/3 alien zombie horror with Island Walk, and an ability that says whenever the Flood of Mars attacks, put a flood counter on another target creature that or land, and if it's a creature, it becomes a copy of the Flood of Mars. If it's a land, it becomes an island in addition to its other types. Cyber Conversion, 2 to cast instant, says turn target creature face down. It's now a 2/2 Cyberman artifact creature. Hunted by the Family, 7 to cast sorcery, says choose up to 4 target creatures that you don't control. For each of them, that creature's controller faces a villainous choice. Either that creature becomes a 1/1 white human creature and loses all other abilities, or you create a token that's a copy of it. Dalek Drone, 5 to cast 3/3 with Flying and Menace. And then it has Exterminate. It says when Dalek Drone enters the battlefield, you destroy target creature an opponent controls, and that player loses 3 life. Vasha Narada, 3 to cast 1/1 Alien Horror with Indestructible, Shadow, which is similar to Horsemanship, and Morbid that says at the beginning of each end step, if a creature died this turn, put a +1/+1 counter on it. Time Reaper is a 5 to cast 4/4 Alien Horror with Flying, Haste, and ability that says whenever Time Reaper deals combat damage to a player, put target face-up card that they own in exile on the bottom of their library, and if you do, you gain 3 life. Doomsday Confluence. So it's 1 black and double X. X means that for each amount that you want X to be, you have to pay it twice. So if you want X to be 4, you have to pay 8. If you want X to be 2, you have to be 4, and so on and so on. It says to choose X, you may choose the same mode more than once, and the 3 modes are each player sacrifices a non-artifact creature, or create a 3/3 black Dalek artifact creature token with Menace, or each opponent discards a card. The Toymaker's Trap. So this is a 3 to cast enchantment that says at the beginning of your upkeep, secretly choose a number between 1 and 5 that hasn't been chosen. If you do, an opponent guesses which number that you chose, then you reveal the number that you chose. If they guessed wrong, they lose life equal to the number that they guessed, and you draw a card. If they guessed right, sacrifice the Toymaker's Trap. There's a lot of words there for a little bit of effect. That's not very good. Visitor Turloff, 4 to cast 2/5 Rogue, has 2 abilities. The first one says when it enters the battlefield, you may have an opponent gain control of it, and if you do, it's goaded for as long as they control it. Second ability says at the beginning of your end step, draw a card, then you lose life equal to the number of cards in your hand, and this is, oddly enough, a Doctor's Companion. So that's pretty different. That's, I think, the only black one I've seen so far. All right, next one is Genesis of the Daleks. It is a 6-to-cast saga with 4 chapters, but the first 3 are the same. It says to create a 3/3 black Dalek artifact creature token with menace for each lore counter that's on Genesis of the Daleks. The 4th chapter reads, target opponent faces a villainous choice. They can destroy all Dalek creatures, and each of your opponent loses life equal to the number of Daleks that died this turn, or they can destroy all non-Dalek creatures. This is how it ends. It's 4-to-cast instant that says target creature's owner shuffles it into their library, then faces a villainous choice. They either lose 3 life, or they shuffle another creature that they own into their library. Death in Heaven is a 4-to-cast saga. Has 3 chapters. Chapters 1 and 2 say that target player mills 2 cards, then exiles their graveyard. And then the 3rd chapter says put all creature cards exiled with Death in Heaven onto the battlefield face down under your control, and they're 2/2 Cybermen artifact creatures. It's 2 red and X, and it deals X damage to each non-artifact creature and each player. Ensnared by the Mara. So it's a 4-to-cast sorcery. It says each opponent faces a villainous choice. Either they exile cards from the top of their library until they exile a non-land card, then you may cast that card without paying its mana cost, or that player exiles the top 4 cards of their library, and Ensnared by the Mara deals damage equal to the total mana value of those cards exiled to that player. Day of the Moon, 3-to-cast, it's another saga. It has 3 chapters that all read the same. They all say to choose a creature card name, then goad all creatures with a name chosen for Day of the Moon. Okay, that's pretty simply put. The Master Multiplied is a 6-to-cast 4/3 Time Lord Rogue. It has Myriad, and the cool ability here is that the legend rule doesn't apply to creatures tokens that you control. And then triggered abilities that you control can't cause you to sacrifice or exile creature tokens that you control. Alright, and then the Master Mesmerist is a 4-to-cast 3/3 Time Lord Rogue again. It has an ability that says you can tap it to have target creature an opponent controls with power less than or equal to the Master's power gain Skulk until end of turn, and you goad it. And then another ability that says whenever a creature with Skulk deals combat damage to one of your opponents, put a +1/+1 counter on the Master and draw a card. Razalon, the War President, is a 5-to-cast 3/4 Time Lord Noble. Says at the beginning of your upkeep, you lose 2 life and exile the top card of your library. You may play that card as long as it remains exiled. And then a second ability that says each non-creature spell that you cast from exile has Conspire. The Master Gallifrey's End is a 4-to-cast 4/3 Time Lord Rogue with an ability that says whenever a non-token artifact creature you control dies, you may exile it. If you do, choose an opponent with the most life among your opponents, and that player faces a villainous choice. They either lose 4 life, or let you create a token that's a copy of that card. The Valeyard, okay, that one is 5-to-cast for a 4/5 Time Lord Noble again, with 2 abilities. First one says if an opponent would face a villainous choice, they face that choice an additional time, and then while voting, you may vote an additional time. Weeping Angel, it is a 3-to-cast 2/2 Alien Angel with Flash, First Strike, Vigilance, and an ability that says whenever an opponent casts a creature spell, Weeping Angel isn't a creature until end of turn. And another ability that says if Weeping Angel would deal combat damage to a creature, prevent that damage, and that creature's owner shuffles it into their library. The Beast, Deathless Prince, 4-to-cast 6/6, looks like it has 3 abilities. First ability says when you cast a spell, you gain control of target creature until end of turn. Untap it, it gains Menace and Haste until end of turn. Second ability says the Beast enters the battlefield tapped with 6 stun counters on it. And then the third one says whenever a creature deals combat damage to its owner, untap the Beast and draw a card. Up next is the Ranny. It is a 4-to-cast 3/4 with a couple of abilities here. First one says that whenever it enters the battlefield or attacks, create a red aura enchantment token named Mark of the Ranny attached to another target creature, and that token has enchant creature, and enchanted creature gets +2/+2 and is goaded. And the second ability says whenever a goaded creature deals combat damage to one of your opponents, you investigate, which means you create a clue token. Psychorax Commander. So 4 to cast 4/2 Alien Soldier with first strike, haste, and an ability that says that whenever it enters the battlefield, each opponent faces a villainous choice. Either that opponent discards all the cards in their hand, then draws that many cards -1, or Syntax Commander deals damage to that player equal to the number of cards in their hand. Okay. The Cyber Controller. So it's 1 black, 2 blue, and X for a 3/3 Cyberman artifact creature. Says whenever it enters the battlefield, each opponent mills X cards, and you put all creature cards milled this way onto the battlefield face down under your control, and they are 2/2 Cyberman artifact creatures. And then it's allured, apparently, because it says other artifact creatures you control get +1/+1. Cult of Skaro. So this one is a 4 to cast 4/4 legendary artifact Dalek. And it says when it attacks, you can choose one at random. Either put a +1/+1 counter on each artifact creature that you control, or draw 2 cards, or create a 3/3 Dalek artifact creature token with menace, or each opponent loses 4 life. The Dalek Emperor is a 7 to cast 6/6 legendary artifact Dalek. Has affinity for Daleks. Other Daleks you control have haste, and then at the beginning of combat on your turn, each opponent faces a villainous choice. That player sacrifices a creature they control, or you create a 3/3 black Dalek creature token with menace. Interesting. Alright, Ashad the Lone Cyberman is 4 to cast for a 3/3 legendary artifact creature Cyberman. It says the first non-legendary artifact spell that you cast each turn has casualty 2, and then whenever you sacrifice another creature, you put a +1/+1 counter on it. Blink is a 4 to cast saga with 4 chapters. The first 2 say to choose target creature. Its owner shuffles it into their library and then investigate. And the final 2 chapters say create a 2/2 black alien angel artifact creature token with first strike, vigilance, and whenever an opponent casts a creature spell, this permanent isn't a creature until end of turn. The Master formed anew. It's a 2 to cast 0/1 Time Lord Rogue with an ability that says when you cast a spell, you may exile a creature that you control and put a takeover counter on it. And then you may have the Master formed anew enter the battlefield as a copy of a creature card in exile with a takeover counter on it. Cyberman Squadron, 7 to cast 5/5 Cyberman. Says non-legendary artifact creatures you control have Myriad. Cybership is a 6 to cast artifact vehicle. When it's a creature, it's an 8/8. It has flying, and whenever it deals combat damage to a player, put the top 2 cards of that player's library onto the battlefield face down under your control, and they are 2/2 Cybermen artifact creature tokens, and it accrues for 4. Wound Reflection, this is a reprint. Blasphemous Act, so we're in a couple of the reprints here. Solemn Simulacrum, also known as Sadbot. The Sound of Drums, I don't think this is a reprint. So it's a 3 to cast enchantment aura that enchants a creature. The enchanted creature is goaded, and if the enchanted creature would deal combat damage to a permanent or player, it deals double that damage instead, and for 3 you can return it from your graveyard to your hand. River of Tears, this is a budget reprinted land. Foreboding Ruins, Shadowblood Ridge, Temple of Deceit, Smoldering Marsh, Choked Estuary, Sunken Hollow, Darkwater Catacombs, Fetid Pools, Temple of Malice, Canyon Slough. Alright, we're on to the second half of the deck, so we're almost done. Exotic Orchard, Temple of Epiphany, Frostboil Snarl, Storm Carved Coast, Fiery Islet, Lava Claw Reaches, Shipwreck Marsh, Drowned Catacomb, Haunted Ridge, Dragon Skull Summit, Creeping Tar Pit, Gallifrey Council Chamber. Renegade Silent is a 4 to cast 3/3 alien horror that says at the beginning of your end step, goad up to 1 target creature that you don't control, and put a +1/+1 counter on Renegade Silent, and then it phases out. Zygon Infiltrator is a 3 to cast 3/2 Alien Shapeshifter Soldier, with an ability that says for 3, you can tap another creature and put a stun counter on it. Zygon Infiltrator becomes a copy of that creature for as long as that creature remains tapped, and you can only activate it as a sorcery. Don't Blink, it's a 2-cast instant that says until end of turn, if one or more creatures would enter the battlefield from exile or after being cast from exile, their owners shuffle them into their libraries instead. And it cycles for 2.
Exterminate!
It is a 3-cast sorcery with Replicate, and the Replicate cost is to tap an untapped Dalek that you control, and you destroy target creature, and its controller loses 3 life. That's actually not bad, especially if this deck was more focused on Dalek creation, which it seems pretty good. Dalek Squadron, 3-cast 3/3, has Menace and Myriad. Sontaran General, so it's a 5-cast 5/5 alien soldier with Trample, Haste, and an ability that says whenever it and at least 2 other creatures attack for each opponent, go up to 1 target creature that player controls. Those creatures can't block this turn. Great Intelligence's Plan is a 6-cast sorcery that says draw 3 cards, then target opponent faces a villainous choice. They discard 3 cards, or you may cast a spell from your hand without paying its mana cost. Cyberman Patrol. It is a 2-cast 2/2 Cyberman that says artifact creatures you control have Afflict 3. Cybermat. It is a 2-cast 2/1 artifact creature robot with Skulk, and whenever Cybermat attacks and isn't blocked, it gets +X/+0 until end of turn, where X is the number of attacking artifact creatures. Clockwork Droid, 2-cast 3/1 robot, says you may exert it as it attacks, and when you do, it can't be blocked this turn, and you scry 1. Midnight Crusader Shuttle is a 4-cast artifact vehicle that is a 3/4 when it's a creature, and has an ability that says whenever it attacks, defending player faces a villainous choice. Either that player sacrifices a creature, or they have you gain control of a creature of your choice that that player controls until end of turn, and if you gain control of a creature this way, tap it, and it's attacking that player. And it accrues for 2. Laser Screwdriver, which is the opposite of a Sonic Screwdriver, is a 30-cast artifact that has 4 abilities. You can tap it to add a mana of any color. You can pay 1 and tap it to tap an artifact. You can pay 2 and tap it to surveil 1. Or you can pay 3 and tap it to go target creature. Lots of good options there. Arcane Signet, Soul Ring, Thought Vessel, Mind Stone with the Cyberman head, Lightning Reeves, Propaganda, that's a pretty good reprint, Feed the Swarm, Snuff Out, it's interesting to see this as the reprint, that's a pretty old card that I hadn't seen a reprint in a while, Commander's Sphere, Wayfarer's Bauble, Talisman of Dominance, Talisman of Indulgence, Command Tower, Terramorphic Expanse, Thriving Moor, Path of Ancestry, Temple of the False God, Reliquary Tower, Crumbling Necropolis, Ominous Cemetery, and then I believe that's going to be basics from here on out. Yep, and then the tokens, which are a treasure, a clue, alien angels, more clues, Mark of the Ranny, Cybermen, and then let's see on the back there's Daleks, more Mark of the Ranny, more Daleks, copy tokens, Cybermen, Dalek. And that, my friends, is what is in the Masters of Evil Universes Beyond Doctor Who Commander Precon. I'm a little disappointed with the amount of Dalek-centered cards that were in this, but they are my favorite part of the show, so this is absolutely a biased feeling. I feel like some of the Dalek creature cards should have had the squad ability, since there are literally hundreds of them at one point, so it seems like a missed opportunity to be accurate to the source material. The same could actually be said for the Cybermen too. They did try to find a unique way to show how the Cybermen replicate. I just think that they could have used a mechanic already in the game to show this, rather than coming up with other awkward ways of doing it. This was another deck that wants to win with combat damage, and like the blast from the past precon, it tried to smash together too many ideas in one deck. So, for tomorrow's upgrade guide, I'm going to try and hone in on 2 or so of these things to help give it a much clearer strategy. I believe I know what I'm going to do, and I kind of feel like you may know too. Do you dare venture to make a guess? I'm not going to tell you right now. You'll just have to tune in tomorrow to find out. Well, folks, that's all for this video, but if you're looking for more content to watch, please go browse my channel and take a look at some of my many other videos. I know for a fact that you'll find something that you like, and please be sure to check back tomorrow for the upgrade guide. Before you go, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so yet. Have a great day, and I hope to see you tomorrow.